All right, so I'm joined here by Damon, and what I really wanted to explain to you at home is the idea of swing sequence. So what we're going to talk about, Damon, if you could kind of explain a little bit about what we've been working on the body, how that interprets what they're looking at on the screen at this point.
Yeah, so a little bit of background on why I actually, from a conditioning coach, working with golfers, want to take a look at three-dimensional, is I want to see what's going on in what's called biomechanically, where there's biomechanical breakdowns. This is almost if you can imagine an MRI or an X-ray through the body. So I know a lot of instructors would use two-dimensional, but
As a camera,
as a camera, but it's really difficult to check out all of our angles, and really even more difficult to check out kinematic sequence or the sequence of events that happen in the downswing in our golf
Absolutely.
swing. Okay.
And camera is so subjective if the camera angle's off a little bit.
Yeah.
And what we're looking at here is an average of the tour players.
Yeah, so what we've been able to do is compile hundreds and hundreds of our PGA Tour players and really kind of come up with our nebulous composite swing, what we have found to be the average, perfect average numbers for a great golf swing.
Okay.
And so on that kinematic sequence, once again, I want to really kind of hammer swing efficiency. So we have two different things that we take a look at, swing style and swing efficiency. If our swing style is impacting how efficient our golf swing is, meaning how well all of the moving components in our golf swing are moving, meaning if you take a look, how well they're producing and then stabilizing in the chain of events, and we'll explain this here in a little bit, but in the chain of events, that's called swing efficiency, how well they produce and how well they stabilize, all right, in terms of moving components. So I take a look at this from the golfer's standpoint, and I want to see what their sequence is, and then I actually strike it to one of our assessments that we do that really kind of tests what's going on with the body, discover why the body is creating certain swing faults. And there's a direct correlation between what's going on with the body and real predictable patterns of faulty swing patterns.
Yep. And so really with what we kind of looked at here, and again in layman's terms for everyone to understand, when you're looking at the sequence, if you can point the mouse at the top of the swing is that white line, is that correct?
Yep, so we're at the takeaway position right here, and top part of the takeaway.
Yep.
And so what we do is we take a look, top part of the takeaway to our impact position.
Right. And so we're seeing that the hips are actually firing. Everything kind of works together, but really the motion starts from the ground up. And this is, you know, in the perfect connection swing, the transition is what we're referring to it. So the hips fire and then they stabilize. And that's why you see sort of a decline there where the mouse is, where it sort of just flattens out. And then as the energy is transferred, it's transferred into the torso, which is more the upper body. And then from that energy, kind of like snapping a whip, it then goes into a whip or a towel, it goes into the leading arm. And in a true, you know, kinematic sequence, the speed will then double, which is where the club then sort of peaks, and you can see it at the very top there, how it just peaks at the top. It actually has a little bit of deceleration pattern, and then it speeds up. And what's great about that, if you can show this, this is interesting too, point at that line right here where the club actually peaks just slightly before impact. That is what happens. The club is traveling fastest, really about, I think it's 4 frames short on this machine, 4 frames short of impact. So that is really what should happen. Explain that a little bit as far as what you're looking at from the body standpoint.
So once again, I want to take a look at, and let's go back to that chain of events, okay? Top part of my takeaway, okay?
Yep.
I want to see what starts to produce first, okay? So I obviously see from our composite swing, this is the perfect golf swing, all right? So I obviously see my hips start to generate right off the bat. And so we're looking at a perfect ground up sequence, okay? I don't see, if we take a look at this line, I don't see any of those lines peaking before my hips, okay? So if I saw one of my, let's say lead arm peak right in here, okay, before my hips, I'm way out of sequence. I'm a very armsy dude, okay? Or if I even see...
And those are the guys that have a potential to injure left arm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And so that's why I want to take a look at, you know, if something peaks before it actually should. So the sequence of events that I take a look at are to initiate the downswing, hips. So we got hips, spine, shoulders, arms, hands, clubs, okay? And I have the luxury of now taking a look at it three-dimensionally in that particular sequence. I can take this graph out, and sometimes this gets confusing for, you know, the layperson to take a look at it and go, oh my goodness, I don't want to, you know, look at this and get so inundated with information. So what's going on with the swing now is you can actually go through and see right from here. I'm at the top part of my takeaway. Okay, so top part of the takeaway, and we can go super slow. I'm just going to go little clicks off of this. You can see my hips, and this is represented by that green line. Okay, my hips start to generate the movement. They get out of the gates, and watch them stabilize right at this impact position. This is really, really kind of cool. Stabilizing meaning they start to hold their position really strong.
Yeah.
We got other
In fact,
moving components going on right in here.
They're almost
okay?
decelerated. They're decelerating right before impact, which is great. And that's why you see that green line
Yep.
sort of slowing down, which is good.
And so
That's
we
the
can even go
stabilization.
through, let's take a look at the torso when we're peaking. I'm going to call right about here. They start the initiation, okay, right after the hips. It's a really small number, okay? So where you can really start to see it is through the lead arm, where I start to get that lead arm going through a real production of power. So through that position now,
Which
it's
is the
been
purple
stable,
line.
stable,
Yep.
and then and then the body says, go, 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 get out of the gates, okay? And that's where we see a lot of acceleration of the club. And so you see, once I start to peak, you see a real big acceleration
And
of
if
the
you can
club.
show that from face on, this is the lag, this is the wrist hinge that you can see there. The arm is going, and now the arm starts to slow down a little bit or decelerate, and that's where that energy is transferred to the club, and that's really what we're trying to do with the L to L drill, and that's one of those functions of the perfect connection swing.
Absolutely.
that we're
So
trying to
you know,
do.
take a look at the last quarter of this downswing. We're in a great L position. Then all of a sudden we let the wrist and club do the action that they're designed to do.
Yep.
Here's what's pretty interesting. We just worked on the body a little bit, doing some of the workouts. How much of the body is involved in this entire position here, all the way to there? Right
Yeah.
from there, now we get into wrist, but then we get into the design of the club.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
you tell me if it's the arrow or if it's the Indian.
Yeah.
It's got to be the Indian, man.
Yep, absolutely.
So we're talking about the body being a perfect connection. We've got to have all these moving components moving well.
And that's really, to sum it up here, that is why you can see a guy like Rory McIlroy, who's not that big, who can hit it forever, and all these guys that hit it, like Rory at the Masters was hitting at 340 and all these distances, is their sequence is right. Is you don't have to be a long drive hitter. You don't have to be, big and muscly. The key is having the correct sequence. And if you do that, the energy is transferred efficiently to the body. And again, with what we have taught you today with some of the workout stuff as well, is can you get that body working efficiently?
Yeah.
And once that happens and it's stable and it's mobile, that energy is transferred. And that really sums up swing sequence, what we're looking for. Can the body start from the ground up and transfer that energy properly to the club? And if you do that, you will have no problem hitting the ball farther. Agree?
Absolutely, completely agree.